Former AEW World Champion CM Punk reportedly rejected an offer to appear at Impact Wrestling Bound for Glory pay-per-view last weekend, despite the fact he was backstage the following night at the Impact Wrestling television tapings in Chicago. Lyra Valkyria is the brand new NXT Women's Champion after she defeated Becky Lynch last night at NXT Halloween Havoc. An update on how TKO are handling WWE contract negotiations with several top stars still yet to enter negotiations over a new deal. We have the ratings for Monday night's episode of Raw on USA Network. Lexis King makes his in-ring debut last night on NXT Halloween Havoc. We've got brand new NXT Tag Team Champions as Chase U have won the titles. Adam Cole tweets about his injury, calling it one of the most difficult of his entire career. Dominic Mysterio's next NXT North American Championship match has been confirmed. The finals of the NXT Women's Breakout tournament are also set. An update on Von Wagner's injury after he was attacked by Bron Breakker several weeks ago. The Women's Tag Team Championships are set to be defended next week on NXT Halloween Havoc Night 2, plus an update on Eric of the Viking Raiders as he recovers from injury. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off talking about CM Punk, who made headlines over the weekend for appearing at the Chicago Blackhawks game, but also reportedly for being backstage during an Impact Wrestling television taping set in Chicago the night after Bound for Glory. However, he could have, if he wanted to, have appeared actually at the pay-per-view the night prior because there was reportedly an offer on the table. In another world, CM Punk might have made an appearance at Impact Wrestling's Bound for Glory event. There's been plenty of rumors and speculation about CM Punk's pro wrestling future since he was fired with cause by All Elite Wrestling in early September, especially since Bound for Glory on Saturday, October 21st, emanated from Chicago's Zero Stadium. Bound for Glory passed without an appearance from Punk, though the former AEW World Champion was instead at the Chicago Blackhawks home opener on Saturday night, and he narrated the opening video package for their NHL game against the Las Vegas Golden Knights. However, according to Nick Hausman of House of Wrestling, CM Punk was backstage at the post-Bound for Glory tapings at the same venue on Sunday. Punk was said to have spoken to, quote, key Impact talent, end quote, and his presence didn't faze anyone since, of course, he was backstage at Impact's Spring Slugfest tapings earlier this year. Punk also apparently did not spend much time with Ace Steel, of course his longtime friend and trainer, who was a producer at Bound for Glory and Sunday's TV tapings on a trial basis. But Ibo of Wrestle Purist has reported since then that Punk spoke to Will Ospreay, Josh Alexander and Frankie Kazarian, and Punk left as he had to get back to Larry, his dog. This was the quote saying, quote, he hung around for a little bit, he didn't stay all the way too long with everybody because the word from the Punk camp is he had to go back to Larry, and that is the genuine excuse that he told people was, I gotta get back to Larry, and he left. Apparently, he was just backstage talking to people. Among the names that were cited to me as people that he wanted to speak to and did speak to were Will Ospreay, Josh Alexander, and Frankie Kazarian. Those are the top three. He was reminiscing and shooting the shit with Frankie. He was talking with those other two guys, and he was just generally hanging out. The word is he gets treated really well at Impact. When he shows up at Impact, they're super nice to him, they cater to him, they tell jokes, all that type of stuff. He plays board games with the roster members. He was playing Connect 4 with Jordan Grace at the previous round of TV tapings, Ibo said on Wrestle Purist Worldwide. Impact Wrestling also, quote, really want to sign CM Punk, according to Ibo, and the promotion made him a money offer to appear at Bound for Glory, an offer which, of course, CM Punk did not accept, but there was a legitimate money offer on the table for the former AEW and WWE champion. Quote, they really want to sign him, they really want to sign him. They made it very clear every 2 seconds, like, nudge, nudge, jokey joke, like, you're coming right, that kind of deal, a lot of that. He obviously was non-committal to the highest degree when it came to that whole thing. His whole vibe was, I'm just chilling, Ibo stated, before adding, he was offered to appear at Bound for Glory. They wanted him to be at Bound for Glory. There was a money offer there just to show up and appear at Bound for Glory. people, when they heard about this, it was kind of like, oh, it's Impact. He didn't turn his nose up it. He didn't scoff at it at all. He didn't take it, but he didn't just kind of do the jerk-off motion and just throw it in the garbage. His whole thing, according to the people from his camp, is they treat him really well, and so he respects that and he appreciates that, and he does genuinely appreciate that they want his services. And so he's kind of just like, oh, that's nice. They offered me to be at Bound for Glory. I'm not going to take it, but that's nice. And he stopped by the next day. He also wasn't going to do it because he was going to be at the Blackhawks opener, and the word from the Punk camp is hockey over wrestling, end quote. Now, Punk was also asked about potentially returning to WWE at Survivor Series while backstage at Impact, but he reportedly responded, quote, "Who knows what happens with anything?" Of course, there was previous reports that WWE had reportedly turned down bringing back CM Punk in recent weeks. Fightful Select has also reported that CM Punk could likely wrestle for Impact if he wanted to. A major hurdle, though, on the surface is believed to be Punk's salary, as he would be making 15 to 20 times above what a lot of top Impact Wrestling talents have been making whilst Punk was with AEW. So what do you make of this story? What do you make of the idea that Punk does appreciate and respect Impact Wrestling, and they do really, really want him? Do you expect at any point to see CM Punk inside of an Impact Wrestling ring, even for just an appearance? Or is it just a case of Impact trying to shoot their shot, but knowing it's likely going to be impossible? Let me know your thoughts about that in the comments section below. Now, we have a brand new NXT Women's Champion as Becky Lynch has dropped the championship at NXT Halloween Havoc. Lyra Valkyria has officially unseated the man. After defeating Indy Hartwell and Roxanne Perez earlier this month, Lyra Valkyria finally received her shot at the NXT Women's Championship on night 1 of NXT Halloween Havoc, challenging her idol Becky Lynch for the title. Before this main event title match got underway, though, WWE panned to reveal Jade Cargill sitting upon a throne as she prepared to watch the action unfold. While Lynch certainly had the experience advantage in this bout for the NXT Women's Championship, Valkyria fought hard to counter Lynch's arsenal, and in the end, it paid off. Towards the conclusion of the headliner, Lynch laid out Valkyria with a manhandle slam. To Lynch's surprise, Valkyria kicked out. In response, Lynch positioned Valkyria for a second manhandle slam, but this time, Valkyria reversed it into a 3-count pinfall, securing herself the win and the NXT Women's Championship. Following Valkyria's victory, Lynch handed her the title, embracing the new champion as NXT went off the air. Heading into Halloween Havoc, Valkyria expressed her hope for Jade Cargill to join the NXT brand. Valkyria also identified the former AEW TBS champion as one of the competitors she'd like to face if she won the NXT Women's Championship. Despite Cargill's appearance on NXT last night, it remains to be seen if WWE will grant Valkyria's wish. Of course, we did see at the end of NXT last week that Cargill was spotted on a TV screen pointing to her watch, so perhaps Jade Cargill could be Valkyria's first challenger and maybe also her first victim in WWE as well. Where do you think this one is headed? Do you think we could see Jade Cargill quickly defeat Lyra Valkyria and become the NXT Women's Champion and maybe start a feud with Becky Lynch across both NXT and Raw? Is that the direction we're headed in, or are we going somewhere else as well? Let me know your thoughts about that too. Now, a bit of an update when it comes to contracts in WWE right now, because reportedly their method of approaching contract renewals has changed since the merger of WWE and UFC to form TKO Group Holdings. Now, WWE has a ton of contracts coming up in 2024, but their method for renewals seems to have been very different lately. According to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, Fightful has learned that numerous talent, including several top stars, have not been approached for contract extensions. WWE signed dozens of wrestlers to new deals in 2019 that are expiring, but also some that were shorter term are coming due also in 2024. WWE has top talent with expiring deals all throughout the year. Now, most of the talent that Fightful say they've spoken to were of the belief that the recent merger with Endeavor would kickstart a lot of the contract talks, and several of them are waiting to see what the offers are like when that happens, but it hasn't happened just yet. There have been a few negotiations here and there, but usually with talent who approach WWE for raises. Talent themselves have been interested and speculating what that could mean for their future negotiations and if the deals presented will be increased, decreased, or on par with the previous deals since the merger. So 2024, as has been reported several times, could be a very big year for both WWE and AEW, as several top talent are set for contracts that are going to expire. So we could see a lot of talent jumping back and forth between the companies. Now let's talk about the ratings for Monday Night Raw on USA Network this week. And of course, as the fall rolls around, the competition has only got tougher on Monday nights for Raw. Monday night's episode may have seen the Red Brand face its stiffest test yet, as Raw not only went up against Monday Night Football, but 2 Major League Baseball playoff games, as the Rangers defeated the Astros to win the ALCS and move on to the World Series, while the Diamondbacks forced Game 7 of the NLDS against the Phillies. And yet, despite heavy competition, Raw appears to have held up pretty well considering. WrestleNomics reports that Raw drew 1.476 million total viewers on Monday, along with a 0.46 in the coveted 18 to 49 demographic. In a rare occurrence, the total viewer number represented no significant increase or decrease in the ratings from last Monday, which drew 1.483 million viewers. Raw did have a slight increase in the 18 to 49, rising 2% from last week's 0.45 rating. Raw opened and closed around the issues between Damian Priest and Cody Rhodes. The show would begin with the two agreeing to face off at Crown Jewel next week, followed by Priest Pillmanizing Rhodes' leg to seemingly injure him. Despite that, a hobbled Rhodes was able to limp out after Priest's main event match with Jey Uso and brawl with Senior Money in the Bank, ultimately getting the better of him. The initial angle between Rhodes and Priest would end up being the high point of the show, with Q1 drawing 1.673 million total viewers and a 0.50 in the 18 to 49. As the show went along, however, the numbers would steadily drop, reaching the low point in Q11, which drew 1.306 million viewers and a 0.41 in the 18 to 49, with the final quarter only rising slightly to 1.308 million and a 0.42. Now let's go back to NXT last night because it featured the NXT In Ring debut of Lexis King, formerly known as Brian Pillman Jr. in All Elite Wrestling. The son of the loose cannon has officially debuted. On night 1 of the special Halloween Havoc edition of NXT, former AEW wrestler Brian Pillman Jr. debuted under his new ring name Lexis King. King defeated Dante Chen in a brief but very competitive match, getting the win with a rope-hung neck breaker, which he called Dire Promises on the independent scene. The match was the culmination of a series of vignettes that saw King watch various clips of his father, Brian Pillman, as well as Pillman's colleagues, praising the former WCW Cruiserweight Champion. King explained that his father's tragic death in 1997 left him bitter, lying to various veterans and legends about having a good relationship with Pillman and bearing the name of a man he barely knew. Pillman Jr.'s new name is a tribute to the family he grew up with, Lexis being the name of his deceased sister and King being the name of his step-siblings. Pillman Jr. wearing the King name is, poignant, as the former AEW wrestler had a bad relationship with his stepfather who shares the same name. King joined the WWE developmental system at the end of August. What did you think of the former Brian Pillman Jr.'s NXT in-ring debut, and do you think there's potential there moving forward? Now, speaking of NXT last night, we got brand new NXT Tag Team Champions in Chase U. After winning the Bada Bing, Bada Boom Tag Team Battle Royal last week, Chase U, that being Andre Chase and Duke Hudson, secured themselves a shot at the NXT Tag Team Championships on night 1 of NXT Halloween Havoc. Amidst their subsequent title match against the family on last night's Halloween Havoc NXT special, Chase and Hudson were accompanied by Thea Hale and her rebellious new ally JC Jane. Jane's presence would later play a significant factor in the outcome of the match. Toward the conclusion of the contest, Chase hit D'Angelo with a swinging neckbreaker. As the referee then tended to D'Angelo, Jane revealed a crowbar, sliding it over for Chase to use. Chase, though, refused to use the foreign weapon, priding himself on maintaining a certain level of honor in the ring. This hesitation allowed D'Angelo to regain his footing and launch himself off the top ropes, knocking Jane off of the ring apron in the process. In response, Chase placed D'Angelo in a roll-up position for the 3 count, crowning Chase U as the new NXT Tag Team Champions. With this victory, Chase U officially begin their first reign as NXT Tag Team Champions. Meanwhile, the family's reign comes to an end at 87 days. So we got brand new Tag Team Champions. Do you think we could be seeing possibly Chase U be, infiltrated and possibly turned into heels? Do you think this is the beginning of that, or do you think they'll remain baby faces moving forward? Now, Adam Cole has spoken out really for the first time since he's had surgery on his current broken ankle injury. Of course, at AEW Dynamite Grand Slam 2023, MJF defeated Samoa Joe to retain the AEW World Championship. But during the course of the bout, Adam Cole ran down to the ring and suffered an ankle injury when he jumped off the ramp to ringside and landed awkwardly. The former NXT champion would later reveal that he broke his ankle and needed to get surgery as a result. On October 24, Cole took to social media to admit that this has been the most challenging injury of his career emotionally. He writes, quote, and you can see this on the screen right now, "Emotionally, this has been the most challenging injury of my career without question. Thank you to everyone who has reached out and shown support. Means more than you know. I will do everything in my power to get back to work doing what I love to do because I'm Adam Cole, baby." Now, of course, the AEW star is working, as he mentions, on an in-ring return, but it's still unknown when Adam Cole will be able to return. We'll have to wait and see if we get any updates on when that could happen. We'll let you know in future videos. Now, going back to NXT, Dominic Mysterio's next challenger and match for his NXT North American Championship has been revealed. While all members of the Judgment Day are currently holding gold, only Dominic's is from NXT rather than the main roster, of course, currently holding the NXT North American Championship. However, on last night's Night 1 of NXT Halloween Havoc, Dominic's next challenger was made official. After brawling backstage at NXT last Tuesday, Dominic wasn't in attendance for Halloween Havoc Night 1, but will be defending his title on Night 2. Nathan Fraser announced on an episode of his new show, Hard Hitting Home Truths with Nathan Fraser, that Dom would be defending the North American title against Fraser himself next week. Later in the show, the match was made official via match graphic, which also featured Rhea Ripley, who was also referenced in Fraser's promo, marking yet another main roster star for Night 2. So we're going to be getting that match on Night 2 of Halloween Havoc next week. Also next week, we're going to have the finals of the NXT Women's Breakout Tournament because this final lineup was confirmed last night. In the first semi-final match of the evening, Kalani Jordan was able to defeat Ariana Grace to advance to the tournament final. In a match later on in the evening, Lola Vice bested Carmen Petrovic to advance from the other side of the bracket. The final match set to feature Kalani Jordan taking on Lola Vice to determine the winner of the NXT Women's Breakout Tournament is going to be taking place on next week's Halloween Havoc Night 2 as well. Also set for next week's Night 2 of Halloween Havoc, a tables, ladders, and scares match between Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza and the Creed brothers, Bron Breakker versus Robert Stone, and several big title matches that we have spoken about previously. Speaking of Robert Stone, we've got an update on Von Wagner as he recovers from his injury, of course a storyline injury, at the hands of Bron Breakker. With Robert Stone having vowed revenge against Bron Breakker for his gruesome post-match attack on Von Wagner, a match was set between the pair for Night 2 of Halloween Havoc, which takes place next week. In another vignette of Von Wagner at a physical therapy office working with staff on his walking with a walker on last night's show, Robert Stone appeared to check in. Wagner, however, was more concerned about Stone, wondering why he would try and go up against Bron Breakker by himself at Halloween Havoc, somewhat perplexed that Stone considers Wagner his friend. Well, we'll have to wait until Night 2 of Halloween Havoc to see Robert Stone try and get revenge on Breakker for his attack on Wagner. There are already plenty of hijinks on Night 1, of course involving several gimmick matches, a Devil's Playground match, championships getting stolen, etc., etc. It's trick or treat, right? Halloween. So that match is going to be taking place next week. Speaking of next week, we're going to be getting a WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match taking place on NXT Halloween Havoc Night 2 because we're going to be getting some main roster stars on the show once more. Thea Hale and Jacy Jayne have quickly become a dominant duo on NXT, with Jayne giving the pint-sized Chase U booster a new look and new attitude. On this week's NXT, Jayne and Hale found themselves in a backstage confrontation with WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. The two teams' animosity led to a challenge being made for Green and Niven's titles. Later in the show, it was made official that they would face off on next week's episode of NXT, which would be Night 2 of the show's special 2-week Halloween Havoc event. Green has been the Women's Tag Team Champion since July 17, when she won the title alongside Sonya Deville. Unfortunately, Deville was injured, leading to Green searching for a new partner. This led to Niven inserting herself into the situation, declaring herself as Green's partner through intimidation, causing a significant amount of friction between the two stars. While they've been able to make the tandem work for the past few months, the duo will be put to the test against Jayne and Hale's budding friendship, as well as Hale's new aggressive side. Green and Piper are just the latest main roster WWE stars to make their way down to the company's developmental brand and defend their titles against the superstars of tomorrow, a strategy that has thus far paid dividends for NXT in the ratings. Could we get another title change next week? You never know, it's certainly possible. Finally, an injury update on Eric of the Viking Raiders as Ivar is receiving a singles push on Raw. On Monday's episode of Raw, WWE aired a video package for Ivar of the Viking Raiders that clearly pointed to an upcoming singles run, the product of his partner Eric being out of action with an injury. Now, Fightful Select has issued an unfortunate update on Eric's condition, and it seems he's not expected to be returning to the ring anytime soon. Eric's injury was initially announced by WWE back in September, though it remains unclear what the injury actually is. Earlier this month, Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer reported that WWE had decided to push Ivar as a single star, as Eric had received surgery and was expected to be gone at least 6 months. Ivar's subsequent singles matches against the New Day's Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods have reportedly garnered him some praise backstage, particularly since Ivar isn't normally a singles competitor. It was this praise that seemingly led to Ivar getting pushed on his own alongside Valhalla, as teased on Raw. In WWE, injury to one member of a tag team generally leads to both being taken off TV rather than the healthy team member being repackaged. So we'll have to wait and see indeed what happens when it comes to the push for Ivar, but we wish Eric the best as he recovers from injury. But there you go, guys. This latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.